Okay, now we are at the stage of test logistics. In this section, I'm going to briefly walk you through on how the actual physical test room setup is. All right? Okay, so we're here in this room going through a brief information on the test. Once this information session is over, then you're going to the registration desk. At the registration desk, you're asked to fingerprint to identify your ID. Once that's completed, then you're going into the test room. Once you enter the test room, then there is going to be a locker where you are asked to keep all your belongings there. Once that is completed, then we kindly ask you to change your shoes with this beautifully designed but rather old school slippers that we provide you. The only reason we ask you to do this is for maintenance purposes, nothing else. Once that's done, then each one of you now are going into a designated test booth where you're going to take next 50 minutes to complete the test. Good luck. Okay, so now you are in this test booth. Once you enter the test booth, the first thing you have to do is to look at the screen and see and check if the information on the screen is correct. So your name and your birth date and the type of the test and the subject of the test. Okay, so now that you confirmed your ID and information on the screen that is correct, now I want you to make sure there are 6 items to be double checked. Number 1, the headset. Number 2, the fingerprint machine. And number 3, the yellow-green button machine. And number 4, the electronic notebook along with the pen that goes with. And number 5, the mouse, obviously. And the last item, that is emergency call button, which is for any assistance that you need from our admin staff. Okay, so once you see that all 6 items are placed in the right place, it's time to wear your headset. Then, register your finger on the fingerprint machine and click the login button. Okay, on this slide, let's get familiarized with ZDG Setup. Let's take a look at the left side first. Here, you'll see that there is the entire list of the questions provided in the order starting from Part 1 Task A all the way to Part 2 Task C at the bottom. Now, in this particular case of the test taker is now about to resume the next question, which is Part 1 Task B, question number 2. Now, moving on to the right side of the screen, at the top, you'll see that there is your name and your birth date provided, and then the information next to it, rather below it, is remaining time you have. Remember, you have a total of 50 minutes to complete this test. Now, moving on to the response time. If you happen to complete your response before the time is up, then you can either click the next button, which is right below response time, or press the green button, which is placed on the desk. And of course, at any time, if you need any assistance, then please click the button at the bottom, emergency call, or again, you can press the emergency call button, which is also on the desk. Okay, now, in terms of listening to any questions, for any reason, if you wish to listen to any question one more time, you can. There's 3 ways to choose from. You can either press the yellow button that is on the desk, or click on Say Again button or the headset icon button on the screen. Okay, in terms of preparation time, most test questions on this test do not give you a preparation time besides listening to the question one more time. However, with these 3 specific questions, there are 30 seconds to prepare before you answer the question. So these questions are the ones from Part 2, Task A of the last follow-up question and Part 2, Task C of those 2 questions. Each of the 3 questions, you are given 30 seconds to prepare before you actually start responding. Okay, now let's briefly talk about recording. On the right side, at the top corner, you'll see that there is a volume signal. Now, if your volume is not optimally adjusted, then you'll see this alert right below the next button. Once you see this alert, then click the button right below that, which is emergency call button, or you can also press the emergency button on the desk. Now, as far as our short-term memory is concerned, of course it is nearly impossible to remember everything that you just thought of. And therefore, here's your notepad with the pen that goes with. Now, one thing you want to make sure not to forget is this. When you look at the notepad, at the top in the center, you'll see that there's a trash can icon which you can press to delete the current notes and start all over again with the new notes. Now, this is something you want to be extremely careful when you're taking questions that are sequential. So, for example, moving from Part 2, Task B to Part 2, Task C, it's only so critical that you don't just delete all the notes that you've just taken, because in order to answer appropriately and efficiently and effectively for the task C, you probably wouldn't need as much of information from the task B. So just to keep it in your mind, make sure don't just delete by pressing that trash can icon, but make sure your current notes are irrelevant for the next question. Okay, so let's review. Here it is, 7 items in your test room. I hope you're familiarized by now with how to use each item and when necessary that you will be able to use each item. Thank you, and I wish you all the best luck.